Hey guys, it's Hollywood Studios here, and Six Flags just had their Q4 earnings call today, March 2nd. I want to give a huge thank you to Tom for creating some notes as he listened in on the call since I was unable to. And in this video, we're going to analyze everything that was said for the call for Six and what it could mean for the future of the company. The way this video is going to be structured is first, I'm going to run through the call as to what was said and what allusions were made. And then after I run through the call, I'm going to go over what I think and what we think this could mean for the future of Six Flags, going over a full analysis of the call and seeing where this could lead Six Flags to. So of course, the call started with an update on progress for the transformation long-term priorities. Core business stalled during the beginning of the pandemic, as we all know, which they believe created a necessity for change. Salim feels very proud of the steps that have been taken to elevate the experience and allow the chain to have sustained growth over the next couple of years. The 2023 investments prioritize guest comfort in the sense of lounges, landscaping, shaded areas, as well as process of integrating technology through the use of Apple and Google Pay, as well as a revamp of their mobile app finally coming this summer, which is great to see. The new investments in food technology, which allow an increase in efficiency and quality, which is always great to hear, and a large focus on water parks, as Six Flags is the largest water park operator in the United States. They saw the opportunity to invest in the water parks as they restructure ticketing to these parks, and there's also been a new position created in the company, which is the Vice President of Water Park Operations. There's a new initiative for e-gaming, with Fiesta Texas being the first to debut this. Not many details have been released quite yet, but I'm sure we'll see more as time goes on. The company has appointed numerous experts in theme park operation to expand on what they are calling their record results over the last quarter. Additionally, they are focusing heavily on themed and seasonal events. They are planning to amplify the focus on this throughout 2023 with the use of the events like Scream Break, Flavors of the World, Viva La Fiesta, and not every single park will have every single event, but the overall quality from all of these events will improve, and there's also a long-term strategy focusing on delighting the guests, which is good to hear. It's always good to see that they're focusing on making the guests more happy and having a better experience at the park, which I think a lot of the changes that they have been making and the changes that they announced yesterday will definitely help do so. Now we get into the numbers. They are calling it record earnings for Q4, resulting from cost correction and readjustment strategies through pricing, which was a scale back of their past program, which they directly attributed to the growth of attendance. Marketing, with the creation of Boo Fest, Oktoberfest, and Veterans Day, as well as Fright Fest being revamped with some new mazes and merch sales, as well as a digital marketing focus. Control of costs with margin improvements compared to Q4 of 2019. However, when we look at the numbers, things are not quite where they would be expected to be. There was a attendance of 280 million, which is a decrease of 12%, offset by guest spending per capita, which had a 22% increase. Cash operating expenses decreased by 38 million due to the cost cutting of salaries and of course the offset by inflation. Relative to 2019, revenue is down 129 million due to lower international sponsorship. Cash cost is down 6% due to the leaner corporate overhead and scaling back of the marketing expenses. EBITDA has decreased by 8%. Capital expenditures were 112 million, and they are expecting to increase them to 150 million this year with amenities. And then for 2024 and 25, they're expecting 150 to 200 million for notable attractions to all parks, with excess cash being used to pay off debt with the next maturity in 2024. That's actually very, very, very cool. That's probably the thing I'm most intrigued by throughout this whole economics part of the call. I think seeing capital expenditures increased, especially for 2024, may be a promising sign for parks to receive major new additions. It's very clear that 2023 is a heavily family-focused year, and I think 2024 they really need to go big, and I hope that with this giant budget that they're going to have, they will do so at certain parks. For 2023, they have the following financial goals, which include to deliver record adjusted EBITDA for North American park operators. Previous record was 518 million in 2018, and they expect it to be driven by higher attendance. Selective addition of costs back over time to enhance the experience. They also plan to eliminate freebies, but they are settling on a balance that goes forward by creating pricing that is proportional to the experience you can get at Six Flags parks. They plan to have a simple lineup of ticketing and pass options for ease of purchase and for employees, which is definitely something that needed some work. There was constant changes throughout 2022 with regard to the pass system and the ticketing system, so it's very good to me that they're looking to streamline it a little more. With regard to attendance, there were 4 million guests, which is a 30% decrease from Q4 of 2019. They attribute this to a loss of holiday in the park at numerous parks in Q4. Attendance projection still uplifting attendance due to Fright Fest, and pass base is 5 million currently, which is a 40% decline, which they attribute to 2 million passes carried over from 2020 to 2021 being canceled through the pandemic, of course. And then with regard to upcoming attractions, we currently know everything, at least for 2023, which of course is great. Aquaman is getting ready to debut at Six Flags Over Texas, which was a carryover from 2020. And yesterday, of course, they announced a whole slate of new family rides. If you want more information on all those rides, be sure to check out the video after you watch this one, linked down below. Now we move into the question and answer part of the call. I'm not going to go too into depth on all of these. One question was, can you give clear attendance growth expectations for 2023? They're targeting 25 to 27 million attendance growth, targeting double-digit growth. Per caps may decrease slightly as attendance grows, of course. They asked how Salim views land and real estate over time, and Salim says they were trying to have a learner's mind. Real estate is valued and they are looking at other opportunities to add to that value. The opportunities are being sought for growth at this time, aside from land expansion, while the company tries to transform. Another question, what is the basis for contemplating 2023? The per caps are up compared to 2019 while costs are down, so they believe that caution must be taken so that they don't get ahead of themselves. And I think that's actually a very interesting answer, as Six Flags is notorious, especially during the 2000s, for getting way ahead of themselves, going crazy on capital expenditures, and it led to bankruptcy. So I definitely don't want the company to go into bankruptcy again. So it's good that they're looking to be a little more conservative and slowly grow their capital expenditures and other things of that nature as time goes on and the company gets more stable. They also asked, as expenses are being brought back with rebounding attendance, is there an expectation with balance of relatively lower attendance and higher per cap spending? They believe it'll take around 3 years for this to be achieved, and they expect margins to be better in 2023, gaining efficiencies with park presidents. Lots of cost discipline is being implemented, but while balancing out with the investment in guest experience. They also asked, what did you see on a per operating day basis in parks at the end of the year in November and December, judging off of the Q4 attendance trends? They believe weather partially impacted attendance, but the trend trajectory has changed, down 43% in Q3, but now only down 29% in Q4 relative to 2019 and 2022. The inflation is forecasted to run around 5 to 6% this year relative to 2022. And then there was a question about CapEx in 2023. So they said if we spend $150 million in 2023, around 70% of that goes towards marketable guest-facing costs. When they lift that cost, percentages will increase for improvements of that nature. Many attractions and ride capital improvements are planned under that cost for 2024/25, which is very, very, very exciting. Like I said, especially from a coaster enthusiast standpoint, it sounds like we're going to be getting a lot more rides. And like I said, I hope they plan on shifting those additions more towards thrill seekers come 2024. Moving on. The shift of capital expenditure from beautification/infrastructures to rides and technology. Security technology is streamlined, QR codes for line skipping, etc. They've made a lot of technological improvements under the regime of Salim Basool. What is the thought about the E6 gaming initiative? And unfortunately, they had no more information to give about that, so we're not really going to know what is going on regarding that. They say a focus is coming to water parks to streamline the ticket pricing and increase single-day ticket revenues. As an example of increasing cost effectivity, number of days open are down, but the hours are increasing on those operating days. Another question was, is the attendance a function of pricing or change or new rides? How much is attendance focused on new guests versus recapturing the old? Pricing has something to do with it, and current prices are proving to be effective, with rides and events planning to be used to drive attendance this year, per Salim Basool. What is the season pass and single day ticket pricing strategy going forward? Someone asked, and they replied, pricing structure comes down to because push may have been too hard going into 22 from 21. When promotions are done, they will be done with the incentive for the customer to level up Lesson learned that prices were aggressively increased and the perks were scaled back too much. People need to see a balance between the two. We see higher prices now than 2021, but also a higher amount of value due to the CapEx growth. They say we are not out of the woods yet, room for growth still. There's potential opportunity for expansion into the hospitality business down the road as well, personally in Basul. And one of the other questions, the final one, is how are you dealing with balance sheets for next year with the maturity coming in 2024? And they replied, we'll be opportunistic about refinancing that ahead of July 2024. So a lot of that really was not meant for coaster enthusiasts, that's more general company stuff. But now we're going to get into the takeaways we have from this whole call. Seems like many metrics continue to be down, however, they're generally rebounding more towards a pre-pandemic level. While there are plans to continue to beautify the parks and expand offerings with updated technology like the food ordering kiosks, QR codes, flash pass systems, revamped app, etc., the panelists feel that there is now a good foundation for which to start shifting focus back to adding in rides/coasters, which is very exciting from our standpoint. Capital expenditure is increasing largely because they are finding the middle ground between a fair price point for its tickets and passes, as well as providing the next level experience at Six Flags parks. Around 70% of the current capital expenditure is allocated to guest-facing costs, with plans to increase both the capital expenditure itself as well as the percentage of allocation to the guest-facing costs up to 80% by 2024 and 2025, which likely means a bigger budget for coasters, hopefully. A big focus will be on seasonal events going forward, which serves as a ticketing draw as well as giving existing customers reasons to come back to the parks, which is always good. You want to get those repeat people back over and over and over again. There'll be a new focus on revamping the ticketing structure and experience at water parks. Six Flags is the largest operator of water parks in North America after all, and they're looking to enhance experience and bolster attendance that they're looking to have for their dry parks as well. Family coasters and water park editions all fit within all the things that they were kind of outlining on the call, so it all makes a lot of sense. The family attractions and water park editions are pretty much being used to serve any of these purposes, which is to add family-friendly experiences to the parks, which were parks that used to focus solely on thrill seekers and thrill seeker related additions. They're also looking to create additional buzz and incentive to visit that park, as some parks like Six Flags St. Louis, for example, have not really tended to have the most consistent additions at that park. And they are also looking to give the parks new additions which fit financially into the current capital expenditure structure, with room in the future for that to increase later on with large-scale additions in the following years. So overall, this call is definitely very promising. I know some of the calls in the past were definitely looking a little bleak and not too hopeful, but I think this one is really looking up, especially with the capital expenditures. I think we can expect to see major new rides return to Six Flags. Of course, we saw with their slate of 2023 editions that Salim is not against investing in new rides. I know a lot of people were very worried about that when he first came in, but I think he changed his tune, and it looks like it's not going to be too long until we finally start seeing more thrill seeker related investments into the parks. And overall, I think that's a really, really good sign. And I also like a lot of the things that they're also going to be implementing, like the technology. I think it's great that Google Pay and Apple Pay are finally coming back to the parks. I think all the technological improvements will catch Six Flags up with where some of their competitors currently are. And I think that's great, of course. And I think that the focus on fixing the ticketing and pass structure to make it more simple and easy to understand will definitely help a lot of people. It means I won't have to make as many videos on the different changes that they've been making. So I hope the one that they have now is the one that they're going to stick to. But with that being said, that's about everything I was able to analyze specifically out of this call, the Q4 2022 earnings call from Six Flags Corporate. If you guys enjoyed this analysis video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And like I said, if you want to see an analysis of all the rides Six Flags announced for 2023, check that out down below. I'm Colin from Hollywood Studios, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye, guys.